Brad Smith comes on. The guy just lost his twin brother 2 months ago. And he's sitting on talking about making a commitment to yourself and consistency and being about something bigger than just, dollars and cents. And it was just like, wait a minute, this guy just lost his twin brother and he's on here talking to us with the kind of energy and conviction and passion that we all should be carrying. And sometimes we just don't.
Boom, we're live. What's going on, buddy?
Hey, man, grateful to be here.
I'm grateful to have you on. So I don't even really know how to start the introduction. You've got the coolest nickname in all of Symmetry Land. I'm not even sure how that came to be. You got some like Versace, however you say that stuff, shirt on. How you doing over there, man?
I'm great. It's funny you brought my nickname. Some people don't even know I'm agency owner Keith Fonseca, and I'm super grateful to be invited to the Van Meter profile here. And I'm grateful to my best friend and business partner, Ryan Federico. I know that we all work together at Symmetry, and I'm grateful to be a part of Symmetry and what Symmetry has brought into my life. I'm grateful to you, Mason, for what you've brought into my life in the short time we've been friends. But I know that there are people who are outside of Symmetry that are going to watch this. So hopefully we're able to impact some people and share some stuff vulnerably and transparently today. I'm doing really, 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 really awesome. And it hasn't been that case all month, but I've just come off of a couple of days of planning where I spent time with my coaches, Jordan and Drew. I spent time with Brian Pope. I spent time with Edward Pritchett, Brian Delaney, and Brad Smith, all in a 5-hour span. And I was just like, okay, man, my life's changing. My life's, it was already changing. Every day it's changing, but man, I just feel like.
How recent was that you spent all that time with all of them? Was that here recently? Or?
This past Friday.
Wow.
So I'm in a coaching group with Jordan Mitchell and Drew McClure, Mitchell and McClure. And it's a race to 200K for agency owners. And I became an agency owner last December, and this year was pretty stagnant. And I led that stagnancy personally. Still produced about $250,000, but know that I say this with all humility, Mason. I can be number one at Symmetry if I want to. And so just being among the top 10 or 20 is enough. But my agency is about getting people to where they want to go. And I don't feel like we did that well enough this year. And so last Thursday, Jordan and Drew had their annual planning session. I was in that. And then Friday, I was in it with them again. And then right after that, I'm part of this DFL mastermind group that was put together by Mike Resma, who's the Vice President of Quality. And so I sort of, just from a room and talking standpoint, lead that group. And we were able to have Todd Spivey 2 weeks ago come and meet with us and talk about where we see debt-free life going for Symmetry. And
that's going to be big, dude. That is going to be huge. Like when people actually understand what that does in like today's market, it's going to be huge. Just like these little Quality RX cards we have. They're all, I ordered 10,000 of them. We've been handing them out to pharmacies. Mm-hmm. I mean, these things are, Symmetry is going to be a household name within a couple of years. But that DFL stuff, I'm absolutely in love with that.
Well, it's interesting, right? I won't get into the things he talked about, but when the chairman of Symmetry shows up in a call, I'm not going to miss the opportunity to ask him a few things, challenge him on a few things, invite him to be a part of our solutions. And he said that debt-free life might be the biggest thing that Symmetry has ever seen. He said he would be a part of our growth and challenged us with things to come up with for Symmetry. So no different than you and some other agents have created some amazing tools. We're working behind the scenes to help every agent, even when you don't understand debt-free life, profit from it and help families avoid paying interest to banks, avoid paying more taxes to the government, just shifting the way they see finances. People don't realize that. You don't even have to have debt to do it.
No, wait. I like the whole, my mind's more on the infinite banking concept. I like that. Taking money away from the banks, making your own essentially. Like that speaks a lot to me.
You know
But
what's funny about, that it's like, that's like a term like a Big Mac. You know what I mean? A Big
yeah,
Mac is a hamburger with specific stuff in it. And so infinite banking is a banking concept with specific stuff in it. And at its core, it's using a participating whole life insurance product that allows you to recycle money. Put it in, take it back out. Put it in, take it back out. And it has a couple of particulars in there that allows you to leverage the money. And that's the magic of it, right? What other
Yeah.
financial vehicle can I grow my money and use it at the same time while never being taxed on? Just think about that. I can use it twice and I don't get taxed ever, because there's no loan in America that gets taxed, and I'm taking it in and out in loans. So when Brian Pope's sitting with us and we're all like, and I got like the 5 or 6 top debt-free life writers in the whole company meeting in a room, talking about these issues and how we can help each other. Did I lose you? Oh, there you are.
No.
And then, he comes on and we're all firing away and sharing our ideas. And it's like, there are a number of new agents that walk off the street and they got to learn term, and they got to learn carriers, and they got to learn how to write applications, and they got to learn to keep it simple, right? And in the Weigel Russman Van Meter organization, we keep it simple. I believe in simple issued, simple
100%.
life. Put money in the bank. That's why we're here. Put money in the bank, because when I know I'm putting money in the bank, I'm impacting families. But when I know how to put their money outside of a bank, not only am I impacting their family, I'm impacting generations of their family. And guess who is being impacted as well? My family, generations of my family,
Yep.
you, all of us. And so, it's to get back to like, just imagine a day with like Jordan and Drew, who've coached some of the, largest CEOs, billions of dollars of companies they coach. And I'm sitting in a meeting with them. Then I'm sitting in a meeting with the chairman of the board. And then I'm sitting in a meeting with, maybe the largest agency or agent at Symmetry, with Edward Pritchett, who I'm grateful to be on his team and to call a personal friend. Brian Delaney, who's there coaching us.
Yeah,
One of the top people.
I've got so much respect for that, like those 2 individuals, but just that team in general. Like,
Dude, and then Brad Smith comes on. The guy just lost his twin brother 2 months ago. And he's sitting on talking about making a commitment to yourself and consistency and being about something bigger than just, dollars and cents. And it was just like, wait a minute, this guy just lost his twin brother and he's on here talking to us with the kind of energy and conviction and passion that we all should be carrying. And sometimes we just don't.
Yeah, I spent a day not too far, like not too long ago, just listening to Brad and Matt Smith, like older conference videos and stuff. I just love the way they talk, man. I think they're like very good storytellers.
Well, you're going to be one of those, right? The journey is about the ups and downs that we encounter. And not only like overcoming them, but how we reacted to them, even if it was poorly, right? This has been a year for me of poorly reacting to situations and learning to grow through them, both with grace and without. And getting to the spot where like I can be grateful.
Yeah, and
Because
just
Chris Clark,
yeah,
you know who Chris Clark is? Chris Clark's a 120 in Symmetry. Really super
the
great
name sounds
guy.
familiar, but I'm not. I've never met him.
He's in the Smiths, Mike Colburn
Okay.
hierarchy. And Chris Clark went on the Symmetry call this summer, where me personally, I was kind of at one of my personal lows. And he said something that just smacked me in the face, right? And probably 15 other people said it, and I just didn't hear it. You can always change the meaning of the past, right? Like when my brother passed away in 2016 at 41 years old, middle of the day, And I was on the phone 3,000 miles while my other brother was giving him CPR and listening to it happen, powerless. Heard the police come in and presume him passed away. And I'm just on my knees in my apartment in California while all this is going on here in New Jersey. That's not an easy one to let go, right? That's not an easy one to continue to process the grief, the guilt, the shame over like pursuing my life and not being here for him. And
Yeah.
in the middle of that, I'm able to realize, like, even though he's not here, he's here, and it happened for a reason. And that reason was to bring me to Symmetry and this kind of excitement and energy about helping people. Very few people know this story. You didn't ask about it, but I'll tell you anyways.
Yeah, I was actually going to say, since you're talking about your past, I just kind of want to give people an understanding of kind of what you did before Symmetry and.
Yeah, cool. So let's go a little bit further back. I'm Canadian. I moved to the United States in 1991. I went to Rutgers University and got an undergraduate in sports management, kinesiology, exercise science. And then I went to Indiana State University for 2 years and got a master's in recreation and sport management. Worked 15 years in higher education. In 2006, I had gastric bypass. And by 2008, I'd lost 140 pounds.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And then I had like a little hernia one day in my intestines, and my doctor was away, and the on-call doctor screwed up the repair, which took me on a 3 to 4 year journey of 5 repairs. Inside of that, I was given less than 48 hours to live by a surgeon who said, I got to take you now to surgery or you're dead by the end of the week. She saved my life. I went on a 3 year tear of being addicted to prescription medication, fell to my knees.
Was that just due to all the surgeries? They had you on a bunch of stuff and you just kind of got like hooked on it, or?
Well, changing the meaning of the past, right? Yes, right? Like I wasn't overtaking painkillers until the surgeries. Come to discover that I was overtaking the painkillers because I lacked self-worth. And I'd already been addicted to food, and low self-esteem and depression and anxiety and lack of belief in myself. And so once that part of the journey came to an end, and I sought recovery, like everything opened up for me, but I lost my job in higher ed, right? I got fired from that. I got a new one in California, but I still wasn't ready. So I got fired from that again 9 months later. And then a week later, I walked into a house where someone had said, it was a bunch of people hosting a boxing event. And I went there and I met a bunch of people, and I walked into a garage and there was one dude sitting there watching basketball on a 120-inch projector. And I'm like in love at this point. So I sit down, me and that dude start chopping it up. And that's now my best friend, my business partner, my sponsor, my guy, Ryan Federico.
Oh, wow. Okay. So that's how you guys met, was just
I walked into a house
at a boxing event. This guy's out here doing his own thing, watching a basketball game.
Yep. And we just started chopping it up. And, he showed me a path that there's more to life than just what I was seeking. And so years later, right, we're now almost 8 years since that, I can look back on those events, the surgery, the whatnot, the painkillers, is like, I can change the meaning of that to bring me here today, and the excitement and the enthusiasm I feel for life. Somewhere along the way, I guess it was preordained that I should be in sales. People who know me are like, you should have been in sales in 3rd grade, dude. I'm like, I'm a connector. You know what I mean? Like, I just love people. So Ryan invited me to do pavers and cement, pavers and turf. And we worked at a construction company. And then 2 years later, he's like, I found our next thing. We went to a Symmetry corporate overview. Now, my brother died in 16, and he was paying my parents' mortgage because he had been in an accident. My mom had mortgaged the house to pay his medical bills, and his life insurance saved the house, the very house I'm sitting in. So when I walked into a Symmetry corporate overview, I knew I was home, right? I knew, like, okay, this is what I have to do. And interestingly enough, this desk that I'm sitting at here, he was his desk, And about 2.5 years ago, I was going through some of his old stuff. Mason, you can't make it up. And the book of the month for our agency that month was Secrets of the Millionaire Mind by T. Harv Eker. And I found a binder that he had gone to a workshop, Secrets of the Millionaire Mind, with he went and T. Harv Eker was there. And inside of that workshop was a folder for a practice company, another like insurance IMO. My brother had already wanted to do insurance in an IMO long before I knew it. My cousin said, oh, I was there with him. I'm like, when was it? She said 2007. So 14 years ago, he was thinking of this. I said, where was it? She said, Orange County, California. Where did I meet Ryan? Orange County, California. Like 8 years later. Like, so everything's already in motion for like our best life. It's just a matter of
Yeah,
changing
I'm
the
not a
meaning and
thing. I'm
waking up
not a
to it.
believer that things just happen on accident. I think life happens for you, not to you. I'm more of a bigger picture kind of guy. I think things fall in place. Like I know this job sucks right now, but I need you to listen. I need you to get something out of this. Like before, I know it doesn't work out here, but I need you to take something from this that you can apply to the next area in your life. So that's something I'm a huge proponent of. And how fast did you start growing with Symmetry? Because I know personally you could do awesome here and very well easily be #1 writer. Because I'll be honest, it's probably the only thing I don't care much about Symmetry is that people can get on leaderboards and then only issue 10% of a $90,000 month. I've seen that personally. So
I've done that personally.
You know, yeah, we all have too. I mean, it's the people who are honest about it, and then the people who lie. Like there's bad apples everywhere, and that's really the only problem I'll ever had with Symmetry is just submit leaderboards because people write bad business sometimes, but those people.
Well, here's the problem I had with Symmetry, Mason. Symmetry was asking me to have self-worth, to stick to a schedule, to be consistent, to be accountable to other people. And my answer to all that for the first 9 months I was at Symmetry was, who the hell are you?
Yep.
You know, I had money in the bank. I had arrogance. I had disbelief. I lacked gratitude. I lacked humility. And it wasn't until I was brought to my knees running some appointments in April of 2019, a month after we went to the national conference, and my own partner, Ryan Federico, was on the stage for Future Achievers. I'm taking pictures of him from the front row because he had 17 people registered under him at his first conference. Nobody knew, maybe most or all of those people were recruited by me because I was doing the recruiting, he was doing the producing, and I refused to produce. And he was doing it all. He was building the systems, he was recruiting. So he earned that Future Achiever position. I earned nothing, and I was resentful. So we left that conference, and I'm like, nobody knows me. And a month later, like I went to an in-home appointment, and the lady was like, I thought this was free. And I was like, what are you talking about? She had like 5 kids, no insurance. She was a nurse. And I left there and I parked in a parking lot outside of a CVS, crying my eyes out. And I called Ryan and I said, I give up. This isn't for me. I quit. And his exact words were, you could quit if you want, but I believe you could be the #1 producer at Symmetry Financial Group. I was like, did you just hear me? Like, I quit. I haven't sold anything. I don't even care to like give this any kind of effort. Like, it's over. And he said, you could do whatever you want to, but I believe you could be the #1 producer at Symmetry Financial Group. He said it twice. And I was just like, bro, can you not put this weight on me right now? Like, I just want to accept my disbelieving beliefs, right? Like, I just want to accept that it's okay for me to quit in this moment and not be something or someone special. And he wouldn't allow it. So like, all right, I'll give this another honest effort. But you know what? This time I'm just going to do what you tell me to do. I'm not going to do what I want to do. And he was like, go out and set appointments, run those appointments, get your butt beaten up, do the things you have to get humble and learn. And finally, it broke for me in June of 2019. We went to a boot camp with the Kimbrell organization in Irvine. And man, I love your dog. He's so spectacular. We went to a boot camp hosted by the Kimbrell organization, and Tony Capistrano, one of the highest writing agents at Symmetry, who had been at our corporate overview, said this, and I share this with every agent in the industry. He said, the reason I write so much business and you don't, and he was talking to a room of people, I thought he was talking directly to me. The reason I write so much business and you don't is because I focus on the people who want insurance and you focus on the people who don't.
100%.
Smack me in the face, right? I was pissed off at the people who didn't. I was upset at the dials when people were like, I didn't fill this out. I was distracted by the people who were like, I'll take care of that in 3 months. I need to think about it. It didn't matter what they said. They were the reason this didn't work. And I focused on them instead of just letting them roll off my back, whatever, and keep doing what I'm supposed to do, follow the system, trust the process, and get to the next person and only focus on the people who want insurance. So part of this story, right, that can't be ignored, Ryan wins a cruise at Symmetry, the Edward Pritchett cruise. And his wife said, we can't go. She had to work. So Ryan says, Keith, you can go. And then his wife made it happen so they could go. So now it was like, uh-oh, what do we do? Right? His wife wants to go on the cruise, and he's already told me I can go on the cruise. This is when you know you're with the right business partner. He said to me, you're going on the cruise because our business is more important to me than some cruise. Our partnership is more important to me than some cruise.
I like that.
And he goes, I feel like there's something supposed to happen on this cruise for you. Now, I hadn't written anything at that point. I was just getting going, right? April, June, July. So here we are, I get on this cruise. And on the second day, I go to the water park at Atlantis all by myself. Again, I'm still changing the meaning of the past, growing my self-worth. I'm like, man, I got no significant other. I'm all alone, blah, blah, blah. And who's there by himself? None other than Edward Pritchett. And Edward and I spent the entire day together, just him and I, a couple people around, but we got to know each other, shared our goals, shared some stories. He asked me, do you think it's coincidence that you and I are sitting here alone at lunch? I was like, no. And he challenged me with some things. Well, the following year in Edward's master hierarchy, I was the #1 producer.
Look at you go,
I had written nothing that day, and he spent the day just cultivating a human, just cultivate, and it could have produced nothing. But instead, it got me to like leave that cruise and go out and follow the system, trust the process, like he said. And in my next 10 appointments, I wrote 12 applications. Now, one more thing happened on that cruise. Brian Delaney looked me in the face, right? Edward's like, hey, this is Brian Delaney. Brian Delaney looked me in the face and said, what did you do to get on this cruise? Now, he just wanted to celebrate my win, but I felt this big, right? Because Ryan won. I didn't. And I was like, I flinched. And Edward said, oh, he's a master recruiter. Edward saved me. Long story short, I walked away from that conversation, Mason, and I was like, that will never effing happen to me again. Never again.
Was that just embarrassing for you, or
100%? I felt like 1 inch tall. I was so embarrassed.
Brian Delaney and Jimmy Spildinner, I think, are my favorite speakers in the whole company, just because like they straight into the soul, dude. Straight into the soul. Like they're the passion, man, it's there. Like they know how to deliver a message.
When you're looking into someone's soul, like Brian looked into mine, I don't think he was digging for DJ Debt Free, right? Because not long after that, DJ Debt Free was born. Back to your original question. But I think like he's reached a standard and a level in his life that when he's around top producers, he's going to want to celebrate their wins, and he's going to want to remind us that consistency, accountability, and responsibility, the obligation I have, what the guy in the book of, get out of your head, get into your life, it's what the F, I forget what it's called, but yeah, he says the hook. He calls it the hook. Like I'm on the hook, right? Everything in my life is up to me. When Brian Delaney did that, man, I walked away and I was like, I'm embarrassed. I'm not going to let that happen again. And Mason, I've yet to like remember a time in my life where good things came from, oh, everything's great and I'm super happy and I have no cares in the world. It typically always comes from, I hate where I'm at and I've had enough. So it's time to make a change. They say when the pain of staying the same becomes greater than the fear of change, there will be change.
I like
And
that.
I was okay with the pain. I was cool with being in my head a nobody, a loser, like all those things I told myself.
Do you think that was just because it was comfortable at the time? Like that's just what you knew? Or what?
That's the enemy of growth. Just think about it, right? So many analogies out there. Number one to them, to me, is birthday parties. What do you mean by that? What's the number one prop item at a birthday party?
Balloons or what?
Balloons. Okay. How big does a balloon start?
Little bitty little thing.
Yeah, and when you push air into it, it's uncomfortable, but it stretches. And you know, if you push too much air, that balloon pops.
Pops. Yep.
Okay, so once it stretches to its max level, how big is that balloon?
A lot bigger than it was.
And it'll never go back to the mini size, ever. Right? So in my life, the most painful moments, my brother passing in 16, my sister-in-law, my other brother's wife in this house for the second time, we had a member of the family pass away in 2020, last year. March of 2020, my sister-in-law passed away in this house of a rare infection that she didn't know she had. And it just killed her on the toilet in the middle of the day. My poor brother has found the body twice. And so those two painful moments were the largest windows to growth for DJ Debt-Free by far. For Keith Fonseca, for my life, for the things that I love and want to do. Those were two of the largest painful moments in my life. There have been plenty of others, ending of relationships, poor choices, all kinds of different things. But when those painful moments came, I was in a lot of pain. And I had to sit in the pain for a little while and then make a decision. Like after, her name's Sunita, right? And my other brother, so the brother that passed, name's Andrew. And I just recently incorporated under his name. And my other brother, Eric, whose wife passed away. So Sunita passed in March of 2020, excuse me. For April of 2020, I sat in this room in darkness, ate about as much as I could, was depressed, made no dials, went on no calls, nothing. And then I said at the end of that month, like, I can't keep doing this. And then they announced this Pura Vida contest. It was a 90-day sprint, May, June, July of 2020, in which the top 5 writers plus the top Foresters writer was getting to go to Costa Rica.
Which one were you? Were you the top Foresters?
I was the top Foresters and I was number 3 in the whole competition.
Did they give you 2 invitations?
No, they didn't. And that invitation's still outstanding because it got canceled like 3 or 4 times.
Oh, okay, man. Yeah, that sucks.
So I'm headed to LeBlanc because of that at the end of March. But the reason I won that contest, which very few people know.
Oh, so you'll be going to the same, is that in Cancun or?
Yeah. Yeah, the one that's coming up in Cancun at the end of March, I'll be there. That's my Costa Rica win from like 2 years ago.
Oh, okay, well, that was my Costa Rica from earlier this year. They got canceled. So
right, we were going to be on the same trip in September, so we'll be together.
Awesome, man. Can't wait to hang out with you guys.
Yeah, most definitely. So the reason I won that contest was because the first month I just wrote a crap load of DFL business, because as soon as we went to virtual, I was like, hey, I can meet with people all over the country. The second month, again, I got a couple of big pieces of business, right? I don't write the most applications, but I wrote a $17,000 insurance policy of $17,000 of insurance and $120,000 of paid up addition, with a guy transferred about 150 grand. I've never met him in person, not even one time. Trusts me, calls me every week. We still talk. So I created an infinite banking for him and his wife. So that gave me a ton of points. And we started July. I was in like 50th place. And Ryan was like, can you just imagine if you won this thing? And I was like, yeah, I would love to take the 5 grand. That'd be great. And then he said, what if you took Eric, that's my brother, to Costa Rica? I was like, oh man, he could use that spiritual journey. He's just lost his wife. So I put up 75 grand in July.
That's huge, man. And
I had to win for my baby brother.
what did that kind of look like for you? Like, what is a 75K month? And out of that, like, how much did you actually issue?
Well, it was debt-free life, so it took some time.
Okay, that took a lot of time.
Yeah, so I issued 55 grand.
Still, that's
I issued my highest issue paid month is 55,000.
And that was from that month.
Mm-hmm. Yep, I did it twice last year.
So do you do mainly a lot of advanced market stuffs, IULs, DFL? Is that your kind of forte? You don't do a lot of simplified issue or?
Nope. More than 60% of mine was mortgage protection simplified issue. And then I learned how to convert that to debt-free life policies. Last year I was on the national call. I had issued 200 grand by July, by the end of July. And I think it was 72% of that was mortgage protection. And it was like an 89% issue rate. Because
good persistency rate.
Listen, I just learned, right? We made that video asking for the business 6 or more times. And I learned from Tony Capistrano, and the book Go for No, if I focus on the people who want and need insurance, not even just want, they need it. Just think about if today you need water and there's no water in your house. Everything gets canceled, Mason. You're going to find water. Well, if on someone's mind is that fear, if I pass away, my family's going to lose their home, that becomes a need.
Yep.
And if that need is strong enough, they will buy whatever they need to buy to make sure that that fear is covered, right? We answer our fears first, typically.
Yep.
So if a deep-seated rooted fear is that, God forbid I should pass away tomorrow, and I don't put some protection in place today, my family won't be able to stay in the home. So I just turn that into a question to people, right? So Ryan and I, we developed a 4-question system to sell any policy to anybody at any time. All they have to do is need it, and it works. Question 1, why'd you set this appointment? Like, what's the goal of this appointment? What was the motivating factor when you filled out the form and mailed it in? There's 15 ways to ask it, but it's the same question every time. What brought you here? Right now, we already know 1% of the people respond to the direct mail, the calls. 1% of them actually pick up the phone. So when you get to this appointment, I'm not confused. You want insurance. Yeah, Nobody comes to an appointment and doesn't want insurance. So when I put you front and center and I'm like, why are you here? Right. And the one I use is, what was your goal for this appointment? Well, what are they typically going to say? One of 2 things, right? Oh, I'm just here to kick the tires and get some prices, which I know is BS. Nobody comes to an appointment on video to talk about.
Yeah, you didn't take the time out of your busy schedule to meet with an expert to get quotes when you could have just got on Google and searched 40-year-old woman, smoker, insurance.
There's no freaking way, right? They're protecting themselves from being sold something from someone they don't know.
They just don't want to be vulnerable. And I understand it. You're meeting with a stranger, but that's why they're also coming to us, because we're the expert. That's no different. If you have a heart attack, you're not going to talk to your friend. You're going to talk to a doctor. What do doctors do? They ask you questions.
That's the biggest flaw in this industry. People think they're vending machines and they don't see themselves as doctors. So these are my diagnosing questions, right? It's the same for every single time. And
so what'd you say the first one was?
Well, the way I do it is, what were your goals for this appointment? And Ryan and I call it head, heart, gut, shoes. Let me explain that. So this is the logic piece of this interaction. Why are you here? What was your goal for this appointment? What motivated you to fill out the form and show up today? Well, I want some mortgage protection, which means if God forbid something happens to me, my family can stay in the home. Okay, great. Now the hard question, well, why is that important to you? Right? Now, I'm not saying this following piece, Mason, but just think about it. Of the 50 million things you could be doing, especially for your family, why is it important to you to get mortgage protection? So they always say the same thing. Well, I love my family. I want to make sure they're protected, right? Now, I do some subtle things to back that up. I repeat what they say, so I'm mirroring them.
Oh yeah,
Sure they
matching
understand
tonality and body language. That's a
all
big
of
one.
that, right? But at the very heart of it is, what was your goal for this appointment? I want mortgage protection. That's the logic. Well, why is it important to you to get that? Well, I love my family. So now it's deduction, right? Here's simple deduction. If you want mortgage protection and they're important to you, let me ask you this, and it's a gut punch. That's why it's called head, heart, gut, choose. It's a gut punch. And I ask it like I'm just oblivious, right? Ryan sometimes says, we ask it like we're an idiot. Like, so wait a minute. Are you saying that if we don't put some coverage in place today, and God forbid you pass away tomorrow, your family wouldn't be able to stay in the home? Because that's what they just said. If you need mortgage protection and it's super important, you're saying that they can't stay in the home if you pass away. But I have to ask it. And the reason why people don't ask it is they're afraid
They're scared.
that the person will say, no, how dare you ask me that? You know, when you walk into your doctor's office, does the doctor say, oh, by the way, what would you like today? What prescriptions do you want? You know, just tell me where you know, what I should do. No, heck no. They ask you the hard questions to get to the truth, because the truth matters the most to experts. And if I'm getting to the truth is, yes, if you don't buy insurance today and you pass away tomorrow, they might not be able to stay in the home. They might not be able to afford it. So that's why that question is so important. So if right there they say, no, they could stay in the home, now I'm on to, well, why are we having this appointment then? Right? Like, what brought you here? And I can deduce them back to my final shoes, which is the most important thing. So, but most people are like, yeah, I'm saying that. If they just said that, then I've got to come back with the most hardest statement question in the industry, which is that we should probably put some coverage in place today. Wouldn't you agree? That's called locking it down. But most agents won't say that.
It's because it's uncomfortable. That is my biggest thing, is that one, they're selling to people who don't want to buy insurance. That's why I love the whole sell me the pen exercise that like the Jordan Belfort does. They just really start, well, this is the best pen in the world. It writes super fast. You'll never run out of ink. Like that's not what this is about. Like, this is an art that you can learn. You have natural sellers. But two is just, they're so uncomfortable asking those questions. And do you think that's just out of fear of rejection?
I think it's lack of understanding that it's part of a process and that it doesn't have anything to do with feelings.
Okay,
So
I like that.
when I think it's rejection, I'm going to act accordingly. When I think it's an uncomfortable question, I'm going to act accordingly and I'm not going to ask it. Whatever we feel is the reason people shouldn't buy insurance is the reason people are going to use not to buy insurance, because subconsciously that'll come out. For example, are you the type of person, Mason, that goes into an appointment just for yourself, you and your wife, where you're potentially looking to buy something and you've already predetermined, we're not going to buy today. We always think about things. We never rush. Are you that type of person?
No, because I believe how you buy is how you sell. So I mean, I usually just, well, I need this, I'm going to get it.
So you're the type of person who can make a decision and you're confident.
Yeah, because I think when you have
yourself.
I think when you have the ability to make like decisions without your emotions just attached to them, like I think details delay. The longer you wait on something, it's probably not even going to happen. Like I'm just a big go.
Do you know that there's an agent?
Go through it.
There's an agent named Wendy Octaner. She's in the Smith Jeremy Whitaker organization. She does all her stuff on the phone and she issues like 30 grand a month. And the question the statement she makes to people, she says, yes is okay, no is okay, maybe is not okay. Because his procrastination is the thing that kills us in life the most.
Yes, like I take a great pride in being able to get like a yes or a no. Like I can get people to make a decision on the spot.
So getting to that comfort level of asking that was not even about the fear of rejection, even though it ended up eliminating the fear of rejection for me. Right? There are certain things in our lives that we attach meaning to, and what happens here says something about me. And one of them that no longer affects Keith Fonseca is their ability or desire to buy insurance. They desire to buy it and they buy it, cool. They don't desire to buy it and they don't buy it, cool. Right? I know if I have enough appointments, I see enough people there, I'm going to have people
Numbers,
say yes,
numbers
because
game.
I've just done it so many times. I've done the process that I can walk into an appointment with my eyes closed. I don't need a slideshow. Like insurance has been sold for 100 and some years without a slideshow, a presentation, blah, 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 right? All I need to do is work with the numbers. And the numbers say, if you ask someone a question 5 or more times, they are 92% more likely to say yes.
So you're telling me that I just need to ask for the business 6 times to get a yes 92. I like those odds.
A 45-minute read told me that. A book called Go for No. And that's why only 8% of us succeed, because 92% of agents will quit before the asking's that 6th time, because they keep hearing no and they don't understand it's just part of a process. And they think it's an uncomfort level by the people, by
Well, I mean,
them.
yeah.
All
For
the
me, it
reasons
wasn't
that they
even an
wouldn't buy.
emotional thing. It was like I didn't care about them. Like that's hard to do. That's hard just to like say out in the open and admit like I didn't want to ask those questions. One, because I was uncomfortable doing it and I didn't really care about the situation of that family. And it took me like why did you get into insurance if you don't care about people? Like, do you just want to be one of these scam artists on TikTok just trying to sell people bullshit they don't need?
But I can even disprove that right now for you, Mason. It wasn't that. Right? I can disprove it for any individual that comes into insurance. Ready? Let's prove it. Okay. The idea that you didn't care about that. Okay. You're outside your house. I'm going to paint a picture and you're going to answer what you would do. So right now you're outside your house and your wife and your dog are having dinner. They can't see you. They can't hear you. So you can see into them having dinner and you're outside the house. The house is on fire from the outside and they don't know it. What do you do?
I'm breaking in, like it, whatever it takes.
I mean, where did you pause? What do you mean you're breaking in? You're breaking the house?
Yeah.
How are you breaking
kicking
in?
the door in, something, kicking glass. Like it's, like
You're
I said,
driving your
details
car
delayed.
through it. You're like, I got to get
Whatever
them
it
out.
takes, 100%.
There you go. Okay, so that's what I'm talking about, right? There's that conviction level within every single
Yeah,
individual.
there's no hesitation. I see what you're saying.
Okay, so the sooner we can get in touch with that if I can apply that not only with my family, I can apply that to every situation, every scenario.
I think that's what I might have been trying to say. I just wasn't really in tune with who I was then. But I'm glad of who. Yeah,
you already had it.
That.
It just had to be brought out of you.
Yep, 100%.
And that's who we are as trainers, as business partners, as friends, as family. We are not here to teach anything. I taught college for almost 10 years, and every semester, every class, I would say, I'm not going to teach you a thing. All we're going to do is reveal what's already in there and inspire you or excite you to the point where you go find more and start to build what's there. Right? I've got a personal coach named Riley Meek. The guy started at least every year for the last 10 years, started a new business that topped $10 million in sales every year. And we're part of like a spiritual community. And Riley said to me, I believe that we all have godly gifts. And the challenge here is that not enough of us are seeking those godly gifts to bring them out. And when we do, whatever that is for each person, everybody has a different godly gift. Ryan Federico can strategize can maximize, can create systems and messaging that will outdo anyone I've ever met. That's why I hooked my brother's dream to him. Keith Fonseca has the biggest heart that I've ever known, is one of the loudest people in the room. I've got like a nuclear energy plant of energy, right? So now you put those together and what do you get? Right now, we're not like the tops and we don't have the biggest results. We're still in our journey. I'm building a $250 million company. I'm not building a $500,000 a month agency. I'm building a $250 million company, and I've discovered within that I'm capable of doing it, and it's going to happen. Not even questioned about it. It's just, will I overcome the hurdles, and will enough be revealed by the people that I'm surrounded with to get to where I want to go? And the universe will always bring that to us if we're in that mode to attract it. And every single person that comes to Symmetry has something within them that needs to be revealed. And for a lot of people, they quit before it gets revealed.
Absolutely. I cannot, that's my biggest, not struggle, but just pet peeve, is just seeing people give up on themselves when you can see something in them that they can't see yet. Like it goes right back to that conversation. I know this is uncomfortable right now, but there's something about dialing that I need you to get out of this and pull. I need you to understand this is a process. It's not overnight. I need you to understand this.
I love what you're saying, right? I would challenge you on the term, I need you, right? Because the real question is, for me to help you get what you want, you need to want to do this.
Yeah.
And so it makes sense, right? Because there are a lot of people searching for leadership, and that leadership is presented in the form of like, tell me what to do and I'll do it, or push me hard enough and either I'll break or I'll quit. And I'd rather they quit than stick around not doing it. A couple of weeks ago, Edward Pritchett went on the national call and talked about dials and said, when you're dialing, dial with the idea and the attitude that this is the most important thing in the world, and so are they. And if you're not doing that, you should probably quit. He said, most agency owners won't like me saying this, but you should.
No, but it's real. I like it. I respect that. It's just transparent.
Truth seeker.
And just to kind of go back to you guys, like I know you said, what did you say? Last year was kind of a slow year for you, or
no, we've grown 100% year over year.
Gotcha. I couldn't remember what you were
so
saying
look,
about.
my numbers are not Ryan's numbers, and Ryan's numbers are not my numbers, but we kind of look at ourselves as an entity. And Ryan, we did 1.8 in our third year, right? And of the 1.8, like I'm the largest leg, if you will, even though we look at it as one giant entity together. So I'm very proud of the fact that I couldn't spell insurance 3 years ago, and our agency just did 1.8 million. Nothing to scoff at. But last year, I think we did 1.1, and we were hoping to top 2 this year because we've done 100% year over year in growth. And so what am I getting at? Like next year, we might go 400%. We just got off the call where there was an agent who was talking about she got inspired back a few months ago, and all of a sudden she's issuing 20K. Does that mean every month prior where she didn't issue much or anything or was doing something else at Symmetry didn't matter? Of course not. No. You ever heard of the parable of the bamboo tree?
The parable of the bamboo tree? No, but you're going to have to enlighten me on this.
Yeah, let's tell it real quickly. So a bamboo tree is one of the tallest trees in the world. They can grow upwards of 100 feet high. You've seen them. They're skinny, they're green, they're like super high, and they do this in the breeze. The thing about a bamboo tree is it grows underground for 5 years and sprouts to its highest peak in 5 weeks. So it's grown underground for 5 years, and then in 5 weeks, it goes 100 feet high. So the question is, did the bamboo tree grow in 5 years or 5 weeks? And the truth is, 5 years underground, you just never saw it. You didn't know what was going on. You didn't know what was happening. You just had to trust and believe that the bamboo tree will sprout. And I got to water this thing for 5 years for that amazing miracle of that 5 weeks of going like, oh my gosh, here it is. right? And so there's this opportunity for every single agent, every single person, every spouse, every family member of anybody connected to this company to have that, oh my gosh moment. Because this thing reveals us, right? It challenges us and it tests us, and there's a lot of growing involved. I love that there's self-development, personal growth, so on and so forth. But it's just revealing what was already there. And when those godly gifts explode, look out.
I
I mean,
like
look
that.
out.
Biggest piece of advice for new agents?
I'm more of an experienced person with suggestions, right? But the biggest piece that I would give new agents, number one, is don't quit. Number two, the only person who can define and dictate your results is you. And number three is make a schedule, and never see it as failure if you didn't fully commit, if you didn't fully execute that schedule. Just the fact that we make a schedule, people forget this. How many people in Symmetry woke up today saying, I'm pissed off about my business, I'm not happy with my results, I'm not making enough dials, I'm not writing applications, I'm not growing personally, I'm being challenged by my mentor, and forgot the fact that they woke up to be an entrepreneur, probably got on a huddle being pissed off. Like 99.9% of America is getting up, going to a job, and somebody else telling them what to do. And yet you woke up failing at this, but still attempting to do this. That in itself is a huge victory. I always say to people, if you're depressed, you're anxious, and you're unhappy with your results, you're exactly where you should be. Like, thank God. Because otherwise, if you go back to a life of drudgery and misery with no hope, or a life of drudgery and misery with some hope.
Yeah.
So that's it. The biggest piece of advice is don't quit until the miracle happens.
I would take that even a step further and just say, be thankful you woke up.
Well,
Man,
you know me.
people, here's what kills me is people think alarm clocks wake them up. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's breath in the lungs that is the true gift. And we don't know where the next thing leads us. And if we did, perhaps the meaning of this life would diminish. But I can tell you, after losing 2 siblings in the last 5 years, even a minute where I'm questioning who I am and what I'm doing, and I often fall into that challenge of self-worth based on the way I was created, it's a countdown, and I want to make the most. If you look at like any of my profiles or my Facebook or whatever, there's a quote there that I came up with for me that says, dance like today's your last, because it might be. And that's why my spiritual name is Dancing Llama. And I'm
Dancing
going to be,
Llama.
Yeah, that's a whole nother story of training that I've been through, and but I'm going to be the most joyous, free.
I love your
grateful
energy,
person.
man.
Thank you.
I can truly respect and love who you are as a person. I'm grateful you had your past because it made you into who you are. And we wouldn't be having this exact conversation right now if those pieces hadn't fell the way they did.
How many people are wearing $7 white glasses and running a $1.8 million business with his best friend? Like, come on, let's celebrate life.
No, 100%, man. Well, Keith, thank you so much, dude, for coming on here. This is going to be an absolute bombshell for people. I really just appreciate the fact with how real and raw you were. I love the honesty and vulnerability. I think that's how you build up something, is the trust factors are there. Everyone wants to work together. I love what you guys' group is doing, man. So thank you so much for coming on here.
Thank you for having me. People need to know that Mason Van Meter is going to 120, will be a leader at Symmetry, but will eclipse Symmetry and be a leader in the community of spiritually guided people.
Well, I'd like to do that thing with,
I'd
like to do that stuff with you and Ryan. I love working with you guys. Awesome group of people. So
thank you, Mason.
We'll call it there, man. No problem.
Yeah.
I'll talk to you later, buddy.
All right, brother. Appreciate you.